Good morning, Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Hadrek. This is Pastor Kellie Ann, and we are working on principle 2 of the 10 Commandments. We have 5 principles in the 10 Commandments, and I want to introduce you to the second principle. We already have the introduction in principle 1 if you'd like to go back and look at those videos. But this is an interesting one. I think that you will enjoy our study today. As we look at the Old Testament and the 10 Commandments, often we just think of 10 different commands that were given to us to kind of rule society. It certainly has the moral code in it that pretty much everyone lives by. If I said I'm going to go murder somebody, you would all say, that's wrong. That's pretty much that moral code that's been passed on since the 10 Commandments, since it was given to Moses at Mount Sinai. And so when we look at these, it's often, easy to just miss the next layer of depth. And that's what I'm trying to bring to you today as we go into principle 2. So, once again, the 10 Commandments, most of us know them. But today, the ones we're going to look at are these two right here. So let me show you this real quick. This is where we're talking about not committing adultery. That's 7. And then also, do not have any other gods before me. And this is do not commit idolatry. And it's interesting thinking, how would idolatry and adultery mix together? But you'll very quickly see that idolatry is our relationship with our Heavenly Father, our Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, our King. It's our relationship with Him. It's this vertical relationship that we have with us and our God. And then you have the horizontal relationship is between me and humankind. And that's where these principles are coming from. The vertical between us and our God, and the horizontal, us and mankind. And in this very specific one, we're talking about marriages. We're talking about relationships of a husband and a wife. And so in this marriage relationship, this is where we're talking today. So I want to first bring out to you, when I think of idolatry, I think of, I don't know, maybe something you pull up out of the Torah, some strange stick or a piece of wood or some kind of thing that we've carved out of stone or wood and said, oh, this I will worship. Okay, so you got the Baal, you had all kinds of different Canaanite gods, and people pray to these things. Even Buddha today is considered an idol, as a picture of this man who everybody prays to and asks for help. Well, the reason why these are all idols is because you cannot have a relationship with something that doesn't give back. Okay, let me explain. If I said, you have a Buddha sitting in your house and you are praying to it, it doesn't speak back to you. It doesn't interact with you. It stays the same year after year. As a matter of fact, it can't even dust itself when dust falls on it, if you allow dust to fall on it. This is a problem. There is no relationship between you and this thing that you are idolatrizing. So you say, okay, Pastor Kellie Ann, I'm not worshiping Buddha. Got it. I understand that. But let me ask you, are you still having idolatry somewhere else? Some different type of idolatry. Have you ever thought that your car could be idolatry? Now I know that sounds funny, but there's a nationwide insurance company just did a commercial I saw the other day, and there's this man in his driveway and he's got this big huge baby, and the baby's laughing and the baby's happy, and the guy's got a hose and he's washing off the back of the baby. Now this baby's like the size, huge baby, and then you have the baby. The guy opens up his garage door and the baby's playing in the garage and the baby's happy, and once again this is an enormous sized baby. And then the next scene is you see this man Or you see the baby and the baby's crying and it's got tears rolling down its face, and then you scroll, the camera scrolls over to the man, and the man's like really emotionally distressed and he's upset. And then he looks back to where the baby is and you see that it's his blue car. Okay, I'm not sure what kind of car it is because you have to ask my son, the worship leader, Ives Peterson, about that one. So what happens is you find out that this thing that he treats so precious, and that's what the commercial is about, the things that are special to you, the things that you favor, these are the things that, Nationwide insurance company is going to take care of for you. But the truth is that this man loves his car. I know lots of people who love their cars. I enjoy my car. I don't love my car. I enjoy my car. But the truth is this. I am not having a relationship with my car like this man and this commercial is presenting with a baby. My car is not living. My car cannot give back to me. Whether I lie to my car or tell the truth to my car does not know. It does not have a brain. It does not have emotions. It does not have anything that it can give back to me. This is the biggest problem with idolatry, is it's anything that we put before Adonai. It's something that instead of having a relationship with Him, we pour our heart into. There's lots of people who pour their hearts into stuff instead of pouring their hearts into Adonai. And the difference between idolatry and other actions we have is this is where God is specifically supposed to be. When you're emotionally distressed, do you go to alcohol? Maybe you go to drugs. Maybe you go to, I don't know, something else. When you're in emotional distress, instead of going to God. See, these things become idols. When you put other stuff before Him, when you're hurting, when you need God, when you need a miracle, all this stuff. Of course, we know, don't go to the other religions and try to find God there. He's not there. So this is what I want to say. If it cannot give back to you, don't put it before God. Now, when we go to God, one of the first things we need to know, and this is part of the principle that pulls these two items together, idolatry and adultery, is that it has to be a unique relationship. Unique relationship. This relationship that requires genuine trust. Can I have genuine trust in my car? Now, I know I'm picking on cars, and everybody who loves their cars, please don't take this too harshly. Just take the principal idea. I can't put 100% trust in my car. You know why? Because my car can't be trustworthy or untrustworthy. Why? Because it's not alive. It has to be alive for you to put trust in it. Can it be a reliable car? Yes. If you continue to maintenance it, it will stay reliable. If you do not continue to maintenance it, it will not stay reliable, and thus you cannot have trust in a car. But it has to have this genuine trust, first component. Second, the relationship has to grow, and it can only do that if you can be truly who you are in that relationship. If you can't be truly who you are, if you're hiding a part of who you are, then it cannot be the relationship you want it to be. And then this brings us to our next component, which is here, is that you have to have a commitment to this that brings forth growth. And that growth is either going to grow towards life or grow towards death. And that's going to depend on the amount of commitment you have. This is why with idolatry, it cannot be an object. I know some people who would, whenever they got distressed, whenever things went wrong, they would just bury themselves in work. They wouldn't call out to God. They wouldn't cry out to him. They wouldn't allow him to be the King of Kings and Lord of Lords in their life. They just buried themselves in work. Now you could say that's the worship of money. It's possible. Sometimes it's just work, right? So, you know, all these things are just examples. You know if these are your issues. You know if this is the struggle that you have. What I'm saying is it has to be a relationship that gives back. Guess what? Money does not give back. Money buys things. It does not give back. Work is just keeping you busy. So busy that you can't focus on Adonai. That does not give back. Okay, so we're going to take this and we're going to switch now and see how it parallels to adultery. Because the first thing that we know about adultery is that it's one of the major causes of divorce. And I want you to think about that. Can we have a divorce in idolatry? Yes, we can. And it starts with Matthew 5:28. Let me pull that up here. Matthew 5:28, New International Version. But I tell you, these are the words of Yeshua, that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. We can easily apply that to idolatry. If you are lustfully looking at drugs, alcohol, other things, you are putting idolatry between you and Adonai. And guess what? It causes divorce. It causes separation. Now, let's look at, once again, these are the things that you need for a healthy marriage. One, it has to be a unique relationship. It's not the relationship you have with other people. So I have a lot of male friends. I have had a lot of male coworkers. I've enjoyed all of them. I do not have a unique relationship with them like I do my husband. Very important distinction. My husband has had friends. When he went to college, one of his best friends was a female, and they had a great relationship, and they stayed friends. They do not have a unique relationship like me and my husband. So this is very important to know. It's a unique relationship specific to you and your spouse. Two, it requires genuine trust. Now, one of the things I teach all my families who live in crisis, often because I'm dealing with people who have untrustworthy behaviors, is I will tell, let's say we have a dad or a single dad or a single mom, and it's visit time for them to see the other spouse or the other parent. And that parent always cancels, or that parent always says they're going to do something and then doesn't do it. And they're always breaking their promises to this child. So I had this one mother saying, you know, I'm just trying to explain to the kids that he just can't, and he this and he that. And I said, stop. Do not teach your children that this person is trustworthy when they are not. If that other parent is not trustworthy, do not tell your children lies to cover for them. These children need to know that an untrustworthy person is untrustworthy, because otherwise you're going to have this child grow up and think that every time someone gives them a promise and breaks it, it's okay. It's not okay. It's not okay. Now, I don't want you to, LaShawn, I don't want you to badmouth and, attack this, other parent. What I want you to do instead is say, your parents said that they were going to be here and they were going to take you. They've called and canceled. When the child says why, say, I don't know, you have to ask them. This way you stay out of the loop, because what happens, and I've seen it a lot, is that the child comes back to the parent who was trustworthy and say, why did you lie to me about this parent? You don't want to be that person. You don't want to be the one. And the other parent's going, well, it's their fault. And that happens all the time. The one that lies is going to continue to lie, and they're going to blame it on you, because that's the second part of that behavior pattern. They don't tell the truth. They don't keep promises. They blame. It's a very, very common pattern. If you're a single parent and you're dealing with this, please do not tell your child that the person is trustworthy when the person is not trustworthy. Okay? So, a relationship has to require genuine trust, especially in our relationship with Yeshua, especially in our relationship with our spouse, and then our friends, family, all of these things all have to have this. But this goes into our second important part, is that being who you really are in the relationship is the only way the relationship works. Let me say it again. Being who you really are is what makes this relationship work. I cannot tell you how many times when I taught parenting class, I would do this little fun exercise about dating. And in the dating, we talked about manners, and how many of the people would say, yeah, I'd have manners for the first few dates, but then, once I got the girl, it didn't matter anymore. That's a very sad story, because it's not who you really are. You're just pretending so you can get what you want out of this relationship. So, make sure that you are who you really are. Last one here. Then there's the commitment. This commitment is going to take your relationship and it's going to bring you towards growth, and your commitment is always going to grow. Your lack of commitment is always going to grow. Commitment with a genuine heart, being who you are, is going to grow towards life. A lack of commitment or a half so-so commitment is going to grow you towards death in the relationship. And as Yeshua said, once you start looking somewhere else, you are going to quickly find that your eyes start lusting after someone else, after something else, that this relationship and this commitment starts to fade, and you start accelerating down the road towards death of that relationship. So, in conclusion, this is what we have for principle 2. Do not commit idolatry. Do not commit adultery. Genuinely be yourself before Yeshua this way. Look at Him. Focus on Him. Be genuine. Be who you are. Be fully committed in that. In the relationship with others, be who you really are. Be committed to this relationship. Don't let your eyes stray. If we do these things, our relationship with Yeshua, our relationship with our spouses will grow towards life. All right, this is Kellie Ann. May the Lord bless you and keep you until next week. Principle 3.